So we will go a bit more into the technical aspects of ESD. We're giving you an overview of basic principles of ESD, but also the different techniques, and we obviously discussed many of them already during the procedure. And we also discussed that when you have a plan A, you need to be able to switch to plan B. We already saw that too. And then I will very quickly go through some very common encountered problems during ESD and defect assessment. Okay, this is a bit of an overview of what you need when you start ESG. 3 little points here, because this is not everything, but you need a scope that is adapted to your lesion. So today we showed already that you need a good bending scope if you do a lesion on the junction. You need generation, obviously, CO2, a distal adhesion, transparent cap we always use. But you need a scope that allows you to image your lesion, but also during your section allows you to image when you have bleeding very in detail, and this is not, again, not complete. Okay, I will go through the different techniques ESD. The first one is the conventional ESD, so where you have your lesion, you mark it if you're in the upper GI or even in the lower GI, you make your you do your injection all around it, and you do a circumferential submucosal incision, and then you progressively dissect until you have your lesion that is entirely en bloc. Common problems that you can encounter during ESD: you can have an unstable position where you cannot keep the scope where you want it to be. So multiple things you can think of. First, is it possible, and that will be mainly in the rectum, maybe in the sigmoid, can I retroflex on this lesion to have a stable position or a stable scope? If you're more on the right-sided part of the colon, maybe you're having a loop that you need to take out. So I think it was very, very clear from that one case we already had this morning that you need to be able to adjust your plan. How can you adjust your plan if you don't know what's possible? So you need to, first of all, know what's out there, what techniques you can use, and you need to be able to switch from one technique to another, and not stick with that first technique just because you said I chose this, so I need to stick with it. No. So often from a tunnel approach, you can switch to underwater or even to traction at the end, from conventional technique to a tunnel or traction, and actually you can switch between all techniques. Then about the defect assessment, but I think we will have more of that later. Just to show you a bit the difference between cold and hot snare, and this is probably an image from an EMR, but it doesn't really matter. You just see when you do a cold snare resection that your cutting line is very superficial in the submucosa. It's just taking up the mucosa, while when you do an ESD, you're really onto the muscle, and you have those vessels really visible when you have an ESD defect. So it's different than from a cold snare where you have these things hidden, but here in an ESD defect.
Very nice presentation, loads of information in there. I think a lot of that, if people want to read more about that, where can they go to?
Well, there is, so for the technical aspects, there is the ESD review on the technical aspects of ESD that just came out last month or 2 months ago. Yeah, it's definitely in the slides, maybe where there is a blue recommendation box there. Yeah. So, but it is definitely a guideline. There is the ESD guideline on when to do ESD, but it doesn't give you really a technical aspects.
No, but it is great for Celine's question, that one, isn't it? So the updated, recently updated, certainly this year or last year, ESD from the ESG guideline is great for that. When should I do it and when should I not do it? And that technical review is good for these things. But the best thing to do is come to this course. So that's why we're here. Aidan, can you hear me? Not yet, maybe. Maybe you can. So Cara, we can go for the live now, if that's all right.